Across social media, alarming videos have been spreading. Herds of elk marching down highways, bears seemingly fleeing the forests, and even mountain lions running through snowy landscapes. The captions? Animals are leaving Yellowstone National Park. The implication is terrifying, something catastrophic must be coming. Maybe an earthquake. Maybe the long-feared eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano. But is it true? Are Yellowstone's animals really abandoning the park? Or is this just another viral internet myth? In today's video, we'll uncover the truth behind the sensational story of animals leaving Yellowstone. We'll look at the claims, investigate the evidence, hear from scientific experts, and explore why such rumors keep capturing people's imagination. So grab your coffee, settle in, because this is not just a story about Yellowstone. It's a story about how misinformation spreads, why people believe it, and what the real behavior of wildlife can teach us about our planet. Let's start with what people are actually saying. In July of 2025, a flood of social media posts began circulating, showing large groups of animals, cougars, bears, bison, and elk apparently leaving Yellowstone National Park. One clip claimed to show hundreds of mountain lions racing down a snow-covered road. Another featured bears ambling in what appeared to be a mass exodus. Commenters quickly linked these videos to Yellowstone's volcanic system, with captions like, "Animals always sense disaster before humans. Something big is coming at Yellowstone. They know the volcano is about to blow." It spread fast: TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, even Twitter, or X. Within days, millions of views piled up. For many, the videos seemed convincing. After all, why would so many animals leave their natural habitat unless something was wrong? Now, here's the thing, stories like this work because they play on two powerful psychological triggers. First, our respect for animal instincts. Humans have long believed that animals sense danger before we do. Think about it: dogs howling before an earthquake, birds flying away before a storm, or elephants moving to higher ground before a tsunami. We've all heard stories like these, and some are rooted in truth. So when people see animals on the move, the brain naturally jumps to, they must know something we don't. Second, our fear of Yellowstone's supervolcano. Yellowstone isn't just a national park. Beneath its breathtaking landscapes lies one of the largest volcanic systems on Earth. Documentaries, science channels, and even Hollywood disaster films have fueled public fascination with the idea of a supereruption that could wipe out life as we know it. Combine those two elements, animal instincts and volcanic fear, and suddenly, a simple video of wildlife walking down a road becomes viral evidence of impending doom. But here's where things start to fall apart. Take the video of mountain lions. Claims said hundreds were leaving Yellowstone. But biologists who actually study Yellowstone wildlife were quick to point out a glaring problem: the park doesn't even have that many mountain lions. In fact, the total estimated population of cougars in Yellowstone is around 40 individuals. That's it. 40. Not hundreds. And the video wasn't even shot in Yellowstone. Snow on the ground in July? Impossible. Then there's the bear clip. At first glance, it looks like a group of fat bears leaving the forest. But experts noted these bears were unusually round, more like animals in captivity than wild grizzlies. The setting didn't match Yellowstone either. Eventually, the footage was traced back to a wildlife park in South Dakota, where bears often walk along the road near tourist cars. Other clips of elk and bison were real Yellowstone footage, but taken out of context. Herds of elk moving through a valley isn't unusual, it happens every season. But when presented with dramatic captions and ominous music, it suddenly looks like an escape. As the videos gained traction, people started asking serious questions. Was Yellowstone in danger? Was an eruption imminent? The U.S. Geological Survey's Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, the actual scientists who monitor volcanic activity in the park, finally stepped in. Their response? No, animals are not leaving Yellowstone National Park. They called the claims hogwash, explaining that this kind of rumor pops up every couple of years, often tied to recycled or misinterpreted footage. They also reminded the public, Yellowstone is one of the most heavily monitored volcanic systems in the world. If there were signs of unusual activity, it would show up in seismic data, ground deformation, or gas emissions, not in a TikTok video of elk. And here's what's fascinating, this isn't the first time. Every few years, new rumors about animals fleeing Yellowstone appear online. Sometimes it's a bear, sometimes it's elk, sometimes it's bison. The common thread? Fear of the supervolcano. In 2014, for example, a similar video of bison running down a road went viral. People insisted the animals were escaping the park. In reality, the bison were simply migrating to lower elevations for spring feeding. Yet the same story spread then as it did now. Animals know something we don't. The volcano is about to erupt. It's a reminder that once a narrative takes hold in the public imagination, it doesn't take much to reignite it. A single viral clip, and suddenly millions of people believe a catastrophe is unfolding. So, are animals leaving Yellowstone? The answer is no. At least, not in the way the internet suggests. Yes, animals move, sometimes in large groups. But these are natural migrations, seasonal shifts, or even clips filmed outside the park altogether. Still, the story doesn't end there. Because the deeper question remains, why do we keep falling for this rumor? And what does it say about our relationship with nature, science, and the digital world we live in? To understand why the viral videos of animals leaving Yellowstone fooled so many people, we first need to understand Yellowstone's wildlife itself. Yellowstone National Park is home to one of the most diverse and intact ecosystems in North America. More than 60 species of mammals, 300 species of birds, 16 types of fish, and countless reptiles, amphibians, and insects call the park home. From the mighty bison, the symbol of the American frontier, to grizzly bears, elk, wolves, moose, and mountain lions, Yellowstone is alive with creatures that move, migrate, and adapt to its harsh but beautiful seasons. So let's break down how animals really behave in Yellowstone and why their perfectly natural movements are so often mistaken for signs of disaster. One of the most important things to know about Yellowstone's animals is that they move constantly. The park covers nearly 3,500 square miles, with landscapes ranging from forests to rivers to alpine meadows. Temperatures can swing from blistering summer heat to sub-zero winters with 20 feet of snow. Yes, animals move, sometimes in large groups. But these are natural migrations, seasonal shifts, or even clips filmed outside the park altogether. Still, the story doesn't end there. Because the deeper question remains, why do we keep falling for this rumor? And what does it say about our relationship with nature, science, and the digital world we live in? To understand why the viral videos of animals leaving Yellowstone fooled so many people, we first need to understand Yellowstone's wildlife itself. Yellowstone National Park is home to one of the most diverse and intact ecosystems in North America. More than 60 species of mammals, 300 species of birds, 16 types of fish, and countless reptiles, amphibians, and insects call the park home. From the mighty bison, the symbol of the American frontier, to grizzly bears, elk, wolves, moose, and mountain lions, Yellowstone is alive with creatures that move, migrate, and adapt to its harsh but beautiful seasons. So let's break down how animals really behave in Yellowstone and why their perfectly natural movements are so often mistaken for signs of disaster. One of the most important things to know about Yellowstone's animals is that they move constantly. The park covers nearly 3,500 square miles, with landscapes ranging from forests to rivers to alpine meadows. Temperatures can swing from blistering summer heat to sub-zero winters with 20 feet of snow. For wildlife, survival depends on migration. Elk migrate seasonally between high-elevation summer ranges and lower wintering grounds. In winter, thousands may leave the interior of the park for valleys and foothills where snow is less deep and food is easier to find. Bison, the park's most famous residents, also follow predictable migration routes. In spring, they move to graze on fresh grasses in valleys like Lamar and Hayden. In winter, many bison leave the park's higher elevations to seek food near its boundaries. Wolves and mountain lions, being predators, follow the movement of prey. Their travels are less about leaving and more about maintaining their hunting territories. Even bears, which don't truly migrate, often roam widely to find food before hibernation. A group of fat bears walking down a road might look alarming in a viral clip, but to a biologist, it just means they're searching for calories before winter sleep. So when you see large herds moving through the park, it's not a sign of an impending eruption, it's just another chapter in the annual rhythm of Yellowstone. Now here's where the misunderstanding happens. If you film a single bison, no one pays attention. But if you film 200 bison trotting down a road in the same direction, it suddenly looks like an evacuation. Add ominous music and a caption like "Animals are leaving Yellowstone," and the human brain fills in the blanks. The reality? That's simply how herd animals behave. Elk, bison, pronghorn, they're social animals that travel together. When one moves, the others follow. A large herd walking in unison isn't unusual, it's biology. Another factor to consider is predator-prey behavior. When wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone in 1995, they restored a balance to the ecosystem. Their presence changed how elk herds moved, where they grazed, and even how rivers flowed. Sometimes, the movement of one species is just a reaction to another. Elk may appear to flee an area, but in reality, they're just avoiding predators. To the casual observer, that looks dramatic. But it's not a prophecy of volcanic doom, it's the cycle of life in an intact ecosystem. And let's not forget weather. Yellowstone winters are brutal. Snow can pile up higher than a car roof. Animals often move to lower elevations during storms, seeking food and warmth. Imagine a line of elk or bison marching through the snow. To a visitor, it may look like they're escaping something terrible. But in truth, they're just heading to a valley where grass is still accessible. Weather-driven movement is one of the most common reasons animals are seen on roads. It's simply easier to walk on pavement than through 6 feet of snow. Let's revisit some of the viral footage with this knowledge. The bison herd clip. In 2014, people claimed it showed bison fleeing Yellowstone before a volcanic eruption. Reality check: the animals were migrating as usual, heading toward lower elevations after winter. The elk migrations, viral clips of elk moving in large groups, are simply seasonal migrations. Nothing unusual, nothing apocalyptic. The bear videos, instead of showing bears leaving Yellowstone, many clips actually come from wildlife parks outside Yellowstone, where bears roam near roads or feeding areas. In every case, what looked extraordinary was, in fact, ordinary animal behavior, stripped of context and repackaged as a doomsday warning. Now, let's be fair. Animals do sometimes sense things before humans. There are studies suggesting dogs or cats behave oddly before earthquakes, and birds often flee before a storm. Their heightened senses of vibration, sound, and smell may give them a natural advantage. But here's the key point: Yellowstone scientists have found no evidence of unusual mass animal movement linked to volcanic activity. If the Yellowstone supervolcano were showing signs of eruption, the first warnings would come from seismographs, GPS ground deformation sensors, and gas monitoring equipment, not from a viral TikTok of some elk crossing a road. Interestingly, some of the people who know Yellowstone best, wildlife photographers, were quick to call out the misinformation. Photographers spend months inside the park, following the same herds daily. They pointed out that many of the videos claim to show animals leaving Yellowstone, when in fact the footage was shot deep inside the park. Elk walking along the Lamar Valley in summer? That's not an exodus, that's exactly where elk are supposed to be. The photographers were clear: the animals were behaving normally, not running from disaster. So now we know, the animals of Yellowstone are not staging a mass escape. They're simply living their lives, migrating, feeding, avoiding predators, and adapting to weather. But that still leaves one big question: why do people immediately connect normal animal behavior to catastrophe? The answer lies in our fear of Yellowstone's volcanic power and how Hollywood, documentaries, and internet myths have magnified that fear over decades. Awesome, thumbs up, let's keep building. Here's part 3, which dives into the Yellowstone supervolcano, the fear behind the animals leaving myth, what science actually says, and why eruptions aren't a real concern right now. Whenever you hear the phrase "animals are leaving Yellowstone," there's an unspoken assumption behind it: the volcano is about to erupt. That's because Yellowstone isn't just a park. It sits on top of one of the largest volcanic systems in the world, a supervolcano. Just the word itself sparks images of global catastrophe. Hollywood movies, doomsday documentaries, and viral TikToks have all fueled this narrative: if Yellowstone blows, it could wipe out life as we know it. But how much of that is fact, and how much is fear? Let's separate the science from the speculation. First things first, Yellowstone's volcano isn't a single mountain like Mount St. Helens or Mount Fuji. Instead, it's a massive underground system, a series of magma chambers that stretch beneath the park. The most visible features are Yellowstone's famous geysers and hot springs. Old Faithful? That's powered by volcanic heat. Scientists call Yellowstone a caldera, a giant crater formed by past eruptions. The Yellowstone caldera is about 30 miles wide, created by a colossal eruption 640,000 years ago. So yes, Yellowstone is volcanic. But here's the important part: volcanic doesn't mean dangerous on human timescales. Yellowstone has had 3 major eruptions in the past 2.1 million years. The biggest, 2.1 million years ago, produced the Huckleberry Ridge Tuff, covering much of North America in ash. Another occurred 1.3 million years ago. The most recent was 640,000 years ago, creating the caldera we see today. Since then, there have been smaller lava flows, the most recent about 70,000 years ago. To put that in perspective, humans didn't even exist during the last supereruption. We've only been around to witness geysers and hot springs, not volcanic catastrophe. Now here's the part most people don't know: Yellowstone is one of the most heavily monitored places on Earth. The U.S. Geological Survey and Yellowstone Volcano Observatory use a massive network of tools. Seismographs measure earthquakes. Yellowstone has small quakes all the time, but nothing unusual. GPS instruments detect even tiny ground movements. If the land starts swelling, scientists notice. Gas sensors track volcanic emissions like carbon dioxide and sulfur. Satellite imagery adds another layer of data. All of this feeds into a real-time picture of Yellowstone's activity. So far, the data is clear: no signs of an eruption anytime soon. Let's talk numbers. According to the USGS, the chance of a Yellowstone supereruption happening in our lifetime is less than 1 in 730,000 per year. To put it differently, you're more likely to be struck by a meteor than to live through a Yellowstone eruption. More likely than a supereruption are smaller events: hydrothermal explosions, geyser eruptions, or lava flows. These can be dangerous locally, but they're nothing like the apocalyptic scenarios floating around on YouTube conspiracy channels. And this is where the myth machine kicks in. Movies like 2012 and endless disaster documentaries have dramatized Yellowstone as a ticking time bomb. Scenes of ash clouds engulfing entire continents, blocking out the sun, and plunging humanity into a volcanic winter are powerful images. But scientists say these portrayals are wildly exaggerated. Yes, a supereruption would be devastating, but it's not something that happens suddenly or without warning. Yellowstone doesn't just blow up overnight. Eruptions are preceded by years of buildup, massive swarms of earthquakes, dramatic ground swelling, and huge increases in volcanic gas release. None of that is happening now. So if science says Yellowstone isn't about to erupt, why do people connect wildlife movements to volcanic doom? The answer goes back to human storytelling. For thousands of years, people have seen animals as messengers of natural disasters. Before we had satellites and seismographs, our ancestors relied on nature's clues. If birds flew away or dogs acted strange, people took it as a warning. Sometimes, those instincts were right: animals can detect changes in sound, smell, or vibration. But when it comes to something as massive as Yellowstone, the first alarms won't come from bison. They'll come from the sophisticated instruments scientists use. Still, the myth persists, because it combines two things we find compelling: animal intuition and apocalyptic fear. Here's where it gets tricky. Social media thrives on drama. A normal video of elk walking down a road won't get millions of views. But add the caption "Animals are leaving Yellowstone," and suddenly you have a viral sensation. Platforms like TikTok and YouTube Shorts are designed to reward sensational content. The scarier the story, the more likely people are to share it. And with AI tools making it easier than ever to generate realistic but fake videos, the problem is only growing. What looks like breaking news could be nothing more than a digital mashup created for clicks. Scientists have been clear about this. Dr. Michael Polland, scientist in charge at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, has said repeatedly, If Yellowstone were headed toward an eruption, the signs would be overwhelming. We're talking tens of thousands of earthquakes, extreme ground uplift, massive changes in hydrothermal systems. And none of that is happening. The National Park Service echoed the same message in summer 2025. Wildlife is not leaving Yellowstone National Park in large numbers. Viral videos claiming otherwise are misinterpretations or fabrications. In other words, calm down, the volcano isn't about to blow. So now we see the full picture. The Yellowstone supervolcano is real, but it's not on the verge of erupting. The animals are not fleeing. And the scariest claims online are fueled more by fear and fiction than by facts. By now we've established two things. 1. Yellowstone's animals are not fleeing. 2. The volcano is not erupting. And yet, the rumors spread like wildfire online. Millions of people shared it, commented on it, and even made spin-off videos predicting the end of the world. So why does misinformation like this spread so easily? And why are we so quick to believe it? To answer that, we need to step out of Yellowstone for a moment and look at something even bigger: the human brain, the internet, and the age of AI. Our brains are hardwired to pay attention to threats. It's called negativity bias. 10,000 years ago, the humans who noticed signs of danger, a rustle in the bushes, a change in the weather, an animal running from something unseen, were the ones who survived. Even today, in a modern world of smartphones and skyscrapers, we carry those instincts. A headline that says everything is normal in Yellowstone won't get clicks. But a headline screaming animals are fleeing Yellowstone, disaster coming, grabs us instantly. Fear spreads faster than facts. Here's how it usually works. Someone posts a dramatic video with a scary caption. People share it because they feel shocked or afraid. Other accounts repost it, sometimes adding even more exaggerated claims. Before long, mainstream users are seeing the video out of context, believing it must be real because so many people are talking about it. This cycle isn't unique to Yellowstone. We've seen it with shark videos after hurricanes, fake snowstorms, and even false celebrity rumors. But Yellowstone adds something extra: the apocalypse factor. It's not just a local story, it's the end of the world. That kind of narrative supercharges the viral spread. Another reason this rumor keeps coming back is because Yellowstone is already at the center of conspiracy theories. Some groups claim the government is hiding the true danger of the supervolcano. Others believe scientists are covering up data to prevent panic. Now let's add a modern twist: AI-generated content. Some of the most viral videos about animals leaving Yellowstone are suspected to be AI fabrications. Bears and cougars moving in strange, unrealistic ways. Landscapes that don't quite match Yellowstone's geography. Details that fall apart under close inspection. AI tools today can create ultra-realistic video in minutes. For creators chasing views, it's easy to mix stock footage, AI animals, and dramatic narration into something that looks real enough to fool millions. And because platforms reward engagement, the incentive is huge: the scarier the video, the more likely it is to go viral. Thankfully, experts and fact-checkers were quick to respond in this case. The U.S. Geological Survey called the rumor hogwash. The National Park Service flatly denied that animals were leaving. Wildlife photographers in Yellowstone posted their own footage showing animals behaving normally. Even major outlets like Fox Weather and People magazine ran stories debunking the claims, pointing out that the videos didn't match the reality on the ground. But here's the challenge: corrections never spread as fast as the original myth. A fake video might get 10 million views, while the correction gets only a fraction of that. People remember the fear more than the facts. So why do intelligent, educated people fall for these stories? Psychologists point to 3 reasons. 1. Confirmation bias: we believe what we already suspect. If you're already afraid of Yellowstone erupting, a video of animals fleeing feels like confirmation. 2. Authority of nature: we trust animals more than we trust institutions. If the bison are running, who cares what the scientists say? 3. Emotion over logic: viral content bypasses rational thinking. Fear and awe spread faster than statistics. In short, it's not that people are gullible. It's that our brains are designed to react first and fact-check later. To see how this works, imagine two YouTube titles. The truth about Yellowstone wildlife behavior. Breaking, animals are fleeing Yellowstone, what do they know? Which one are you more likely to click? This is the psychology of fear marketing. The scarier title gets more views, more shares, and more revenue. That's why creators keep making them, not because they're true, but because they pay. And this isn't just about Yellowstone. It's a symbol of how misinformation works in the digital age. Whether it's false news about elections, health scares, or viral hoaxes, the mechanics are the same. A dramatic claim. A kernel of believability. Rapid spread through emotional engagement. Weak corrections that can't keep up. The Yellowstone rumor is almost like a case study, a perfect storm of animal behavior, natural disaster fear, and viral algorithms. So, animals aren't leaving Yellowstone, the volcano isn't erupting, and most of the viral videos are either misinterpreted or manipulated.